Hello, and this is hibernation between bears and frogs. So, hibernation. According to Britannica, hibernation is a state of lowered metabolic rate and temperature. All sorts of animals hibernate across winter, including bears, frogs, squirrels, bats, etc., for various reasons. One form of a hibernator is a true hibernator. True hibernators take a dead appearance with body temperature close to 0 degrees Celsius, only a couple breaths a minute, and a hard to detect heart rate. This is usually to lower their metabolic rate to a crawl. The torpid state associated with hibernation can also be observed in winter or in summer. To keep it simple, we will focus this presentation on a comparison between bears and frogs. To start off, we'll look at the physiological processes in bears. Bears will usually stock up on food leading into winter to have the fat reserves to make it all the way through winter. Bears hibernate during the cold parts of the year, usually to avoid food scarcity. If food is present, they often won't hibernate unless they are pregnant or the winter conditions are severe. To achieve this, they lower their body temperature down to between 8 and 12 degrees Celsius. For energy, they break down the fat they stocked up on before winter. Frogs, on the other hand, will hibernate to avoid extreme temperatures. And they do this by allowing ice crystals to form in their body cavities, bladder, and under their skin. Eventually, their heart stops beating and the frog will stop breathing. They are still alive and can complete air exchange through their skin. So now the results of the process if all is normal. For bears, if all works well, they don't need to eat or drink, and they rarely urinate or defecate. They don't sleep the entire time. Periodically, they do wake up to move around the den and shift their body positions. Doing so helps conserve heat and lower chances of pressure sores. In the spring, they do go back to normal activity once a certain temperature is reached. Frogs, if all is normal, their liver produces a massive amount of glucose that acts as an antifreeze for vital organs, keeping them from freezing. In the spring, when it gets warmer, they will thaw and return back to the normal activity. The heart and lungs will start to work again like nothing happened. On the other hand, if things aren't working properly for bears, so if food scarcity started earlier than normal, the bear might not have been able to build up the reserves it needs to survive. This usually causes starvation and the need to get active again earlier in the winter. If a bear wakes up too early and can't re-enter its hibernation state, it will be forced to face harsh conditions with little available food outside. This usually doesn't happen since bears wake up periodically to move around anyways, so they can always re-enter that hibernation state. Bears in general are better able to handle issues if hibernation starts to not work. Frogs, on the other hand, if the frog's liver doesn't work as it should, the glucose needed won't be created and the frog may completely freeze and die. This is usually called winter kill. If their skin doesn't stay moist, they will also dry up and the skin can't diffuse air like it should. Most issues related to frog hibernation result in death if it's not fixed properly. And now time for everyone's favorite section, the fun facts. Bear cubs are born about 2 months into hibernation, but can't walk or feed on their own yet. And it usually takes until they're around 6 months old until they can start moving around and eating on their own. Also for bears, if food is available, sometimes they just won't hibernate. Bears usually only hibernate if there's going to be a lack of food. And so if there's plenty of food around them, they don't have a need to enter that hibernation state unless they are pregnant or the winter conditions are expected to be harsh. And then frogs. A really cool thing about them is 70% of their internal water can freeze before they'll die. So a lot of times most of their body can freeze without any issue as part of their just normal hibernation state. But once it passes that 70% mark, they usually start falling to winter kill. And this has been my presentation comparing hibernation in bears and frogs. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.